So, ladies and gentlemen, in this next segment, you see, I feel as though that I can't do it justice. I feel as though that me trying to sit here and explain to you what happened in the night or the nights in question, wouldn't do any good. But I will give my take on what I think, seeing as though that I'm the sort of the podcast host. I wouldn't call myself the star of the show, putting that in air quotes, by the way, because, my opinion in the grand scheme of things isn't really the ultimate opinion, I'm here simply to create a medium to criticize and show exactly how, if done correctly, long-term booking could quite possibly tell you a great story. Imagine, for instance, you're a son and a father, or mother and a daughter, or a son and a daughter, for instance, or a son and a daughter. I didn't mean to say that. A father and a daughter, for instance, and the one thing that you bond over is something like a sports game or professional wrestling. I wouldn't really see sports, like baseball or whatever, but to each is their own. If baseball is your wrestling, then I guess that's great. I just don't see the appeal in it. Like people talk about building cars. Oh my God, I built this car and spent so much time and so much work and so much money and so much effort and all this yada yada dog shit. For me, I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, and are you proud of yourself? Because I wouldn't be, But anyway, to get off of that, I want you guys, possible wrestling fans, sports fans, to hear from the man of the hour, who turned a family against one another, who over the course of 9 months told people that he had nothing to do with the deliberate in-term progression of this biker gang, or for that matter of this club, this Aces and Eights. And for those of you who don't know, if you're playing against like gang members or something like that, it's commonly referred to as a dead man's hand if you lose. And let's say that you were playing a game and it was for your soul, and someone else, your opponent, had the aces and the eights, So in retrospect, that's literature, That's, once again, something else done correctly. The name of the group, Aces and Eights, literally a dead man's hand, especially for your opponent. I mean, how can you win if your opponent stacks the deck in their favor? Do you see what's happening here? These are all terms that are literally saying that you can't win against them. So how are you going to win against them? Now, this is professional wrestling, but in real life, how would you win against them? You would either, they're a part of Impact Wrestling. They've all got contracts. You would fire them. Okay, you guys have clearly done enough shenanigans on my show, on my time. You're clearly wasting my time. You're burning my fucking building down. You're dating my daughter, and you told her that you loved her 9 months ago, and this whole time it's been nothing but shenanigans after shenanigans after shenanigans, and you've looked me in my eyes nearly 7 to 10 times and told me that you've had nothing to fucking do with it, but yet you continue, because he's working behind the scenes. Do you see how many layers are going here right now? But I'm going to let the man speak for himself. His name's Bully Ray, and he's about to break down what was Plan A.
blow it out, you. You see, Plan A was simple. Win the Bound for Glory series, and then win the World Heavyweight title. And consequently, the first night of the Bound for Glory series is, that's the night Sting got jumped by my boys. Who are these guys? The Aces and Eights were created for shock and awe, complete anarchy, and every single dead man's hand was dealt by me. So week after week, the questions are popping up. Who's behind the Aces and Eights? And all it took was a simple, small suggestion to Bobby Roode, and he completely ran with it.
I know who's behind all these attacks. The Cowboy, James Storm.
I have no connection at all with these guys.
We made sure that every single sign pointed at the Cowboy, James Storm.
They attacked everybody but you.
I was racking up points in the Bound for Glory series. The Storm, he was the scapegoat.
Who you trying to kid? You're guilty as charged.
What a crazy set of circumstances in this tables match involving Aces and Eights.
But he got himself 20 points, but he's terrified that Aces and Eights around here somewhere. And Storm, after we were done with you, we were cool with letting the whole world know. All I had to do was win and no surrender. And Storm, you played right into my hand. Chose me.
Last year, you ended my chance for glory. This year, I'm ending yours.
I called B. Roode on the phone again. And I did what I do best. I stirred him up. Bobby, how the hell are you gonna go and let James Storm be in the main event of Bound for Glory instead of you? Bobby's head was going crazy. This was my night. But Hulk, you were just a little smarter. You locked us out.
Block every damn entrance and every exit around this building.
But on that night, I gotta give credit where credit is due. Jeff Hardy, you were a lot tougher than I thought.
Hardy is bound for glory.
So I came up with a new plan. And Hulk, you brought it right to me.
The champions, Austin Aries and Bobby.
So I didn't see that one coming. I didn't watch this beforehand, so I didn't know exactly what Plan A was. And I haven't watched this in a few years. And the last time that I did watch it was a review that I had watched of Brian Zane, who did a review of the long-term booking of the Aces and Eights. He didn't exactly do a review on the aftermath like I'm looking at here. This is like 1 week after their pay-per-view, or it's like the day after the pay-per-view rather than just 1 week. So if their pay-per-views are on Sunday and their next show, and I'm pretty sure that Impact Wrestling had a show every Thursday, one show a week, much like me, but this will be my second show this week because I feel as though that I lowballed my audience by giving them some sort of, I'm putting in this in air quotes, explanation to something that never really happened, but that's why I lost my job and it was just weighing on me. So I was like, oh man, I can't focus, I couldn't focus knowing that that was looming in the air. So I just thought that I'd get it out there, and I needed someone to talk to, and I don't have anyone to talk to. I can't go anywhere and talk to somebody without them, running their mouth about it. I don't know. It's so weird. So it's not important. I'm done playing politics right now. But anyway, what I mean to say is that what a sly little dog. What a sly fucker. He went ahead and he played the blame game so much that he blamed someone who was innocent and got them jumped, got them beat up, got them accused of it. And then he played off of the insecurities of that person's best friend, supposed best friend. But, I mean, these two traveled the world together. It did James Storm and Bobby Roode. And they've probably been traveling the world for north of 15 years together. They've slept in hotel rooms together, probably not with each other, granted, but I'm not trying to make any, homosexual jokes. He didn't say no homo after every hotel room that they left. But, James Storm always reminded me of, like, Steve Austin, because he was always called the Tennessee Cowboy, and he would always come out and then he would always, like, drink a beer and raise some hell, and, he's sort of like a PG-13 Steve Austin, I suppose a lot of other people can see that, but I'd never seen that segment before, and exactly what I said about the dead man's hand, and exactly what I said about how, and he's using the same references that I was using, something like, you played right into my hand. Well, Plan A didn't exactly go to fruition, is what I'm trying to say, in this segment here, because Jeff Hardy beat Bully Ray at the Bound for Glory finals, which is like a tournament that they do. Submissions are worth like 10 points, pinfalls are worth like 6 points, a countout victory is worth like 2 points. You can only advance via pinfall and submission. Disqualification is kind of not a thing for one reason or another. I will give Impact Wrestling its due. This build, 9 months, and Bully Ray, in case you missed it, maybe you want to go back and listen, he said, and then I saw what you brought to me, Hulk Hogan, which was basically a reference to the fact that Brooke Hogan got brought into the company and Bully Ray saw his opportunity, which to some people might seem like, how old is Bully again at this time? Maybe, he looks like he's maybe in his 37, maybe 47, 42, somewhere around there. We'll say late 30s, early 40s, even though I'd highly doubt it because he's been wrestling since he's been like 20, and that was in like 1999. He hides it well, though. And Brooke Hogan, she's got to be like at least 27 at this time, 28. She was just coming off of the heels of a reality show that they called Hogan Knows Best, which premiered on like MTV in like 2005. Oh, never mind. This was 2013. Never mind. Anyway, she also did like a music career, which flopped. She's done like photo shoots. She's had like every fucking opportunity that you can ever imagine. I don't know. It's so weird. This entire episode, this entire concept is so weird, but it's to give you guys a good idea, or perhaps a good example of what long-term booking is. If I was to set my podcast up to be nothing but long-term booking, that would be great, but I can't do that because I don't have amenities, I don't have resources or anything like that. In order for me to do that, I would have to plant the seeds to a story that would have to unfold over the weeks of 9, 10, 12, 18 months, down the road, and I would have to essentially bank on the fact that there would be people here who would want to listen to that unfold each and every week, almost like it was a drama of some sort. But like I said, I don't have writers, I don't have amenities or certain resources to ensure that that's the case. The best I can give you for my show, my podcast, as an example, is all of the consistency that I have. Just consistently bringing you different programming. But at the same pace and at the same level, you know? All the same programming that I do bring you is on a consistent basis. I don't say something 1 week and then 3 weeks later I end up changing my mind, because that would be inconsistent of me. I'm not Jim Cornette. I'm better than that. I'm not saying that I'm better than Jim Cornette. I'm saying that I'm better than the show that he puts on each and every week on his podcast, because he tends to flip-flop on what people are paying him to say, rather than just saying what's on his mind and being true and you feel where I'm going with this, rather than just being true and authentic about it, is the word that I'm looking for. I'm looking for a certain adjective, but I couldn't find it.
When we got locked out, Plan B had to go into effect. Hogan, you took away what I wanted the most. You gotta applaud Jeff Hardy. He went on to Bound for Glory. He went on to win the World Heavyweight title. I had to find a new plan, and it was standing right in front of me.
We need some help here. We need some help out here for Brook.
Hulk, you tried to make a fool out of me, but in turn, you made a fool out of yourself. Joseph Park, he became the bait.
I'm just telling you, be careful where you stick your nose. I know people like this. You don't. Be careful. Okay, fair enough.
Please no! Please no!
I get Joseph Parks, and you get me in your clubhouse.
First of all, I want to thank you for accepting our invitation to come down to the clubhouse next week. But I want to warn you about something. When you come to our house, it's clubhouse rules. So the deal is, you pick two, I pick two, we meet at Bound for Glory, we win, we get full access.
Let us go. I'll do it. You just need to make sure nobody hurts Parks.
You got nothing to worry about. You have my word.
See that little scene you just saw, Hulk? Know who that guy was? That was my brother, Devon. The guy you turned your back on. The guy you threw by the wayside. Nobody turns their back on my brother. We're gonna find our best, and I'm coming, Hulk. Let me do this. We're coming with our best. I knew what I was doing. I stepped right up. I was gonna be the hero who saved TNA.
I love you, Hulk, but I need your endorsement, and he needs your endorsement. Everybody does.
I know you don't love me. You might even hate me, but you gotta respect me. I'm putting my hand out. Shake my hand. I'm your guy, Hulk.
Shaking the hand of the immortal Hulk Hogan. That's when I looked into your eyes and I knew I had you. That's the moment that you had signed Impact's fate. Sting and I bonded. We became best friends like brothers. We even used the table. I let him use the table, which just so happens to be how we lost at Bound for Glory. I lost at the hands of my own brother, my blood, my partner. I was devastated. I was so low, I didn't know what to do. Do you see my rage? It ended up costing us. And one by one, each member of the TNA roster got taken out. So then I set my sights on the next step of the plan. But oops, I got caught. I ain't stupid. I knew exactly how Hulk would react. The beautiful girl brings home the bad boy. No daddy wants his little girl to be with a guy like me. And the more Hulk told Brooke no, the more Brooke said yes. Brooke, as soon as I had you, I knew this would happen. Hulk, I was in. Oh, yes, I was. And there's nothing you could have done to stop it.
The icon.
So, Bully Ray spins the narrative the way that he sees fit, and he's showing his side of the story, not only as the good guy extending the hand that would supposedly go on to, I'm going to put this in air quotes, extending the hand rather, that would supposedly go on to help, in air quotes, the Impact Wrestling roster, when in fact he wasn't there to help them. He was there to be their detriment this entire time. He played both the bad guy and the good guy. He allowed himself to be both vulnerable as well as allowed himself to be the upstanding gentleman. You know, not only was he vulnerable and the gentleman, but he was also the crooked thief. He was so... I swear, watching this, it's almost like he's the evil genius behind everything, you know? Because, and if you even look back at even further, he said that Devon was the guy that Hulk Hogan had practically just turned his back on. And who better to take out, you know, everyone that you love rather than Devon. And then once Devon comes out to the ring, I don't know if you guys probably didn't see the clip. Devon comes out to the ring. I'm pretty sure Bubba comes to the rescue. You know, he's like da 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 da, because of course Devon is, you know, the one of the guys from Aces and Eights. So He gained Hulk Hogan's trust. He basically looked him in the eyes and said, "Your daughter, she's safe with me." And at the same time, he was talking behind Brooks' back. At the same time, he was talking behind Hulk Hogan's back. At the same time, he was still the guy who was, like, they showed a clip where Austin Aries, or one of the locker room officials, walking in on Bully Ray while he's being spotted kissing Brooke Hogan. And he said, and then once I knew that, the more that, you know, it's kind of like that rebellious teenage phase. But once again, I bring to light the fact that Brooks probably, like, you know, 25, and Bully's Bubba Ray, he's probably like 40, maybe, at this point in time. I mean, he's no spring chicken, but I'm conflicted here, because this comes off a little bit creepy-ish, stalkerish, you know, maybe-ish. But at the same time, this Romeo Juliet that he's playing, but also this Jekyll and Hyde that he's playing. Do you see how many layers are in this story here? And this is beautiful, beautiful storytelling by Impact Wrestling. They're really bringing together everything forward, and throughout the night, like I said, just like throughout the night of this podcast, I'm going to be recording each and every one of these segments, putting it on my podcast, this episode here. Some of you might find that a little bit lazy, you know, because I'm just filling time with it, then just giving commentary on it. But not only that, but I'm also recording the wrestling that's going into it. But what I mean to say is, this is exactly what a true villain looks like. True villain would look you in the eyes and tell you, you've got nothing to worry about. Shake my hand, and then you'll believe them. And the next thing you know, everything you've ever known gets burned to the ground like that. But see, he's not like the true villain, is he? Because it didn't take him 5 minutes to burn something to the ground, like I previously mentioned. been a while since we've had that happen. But 3 o'clock in the morning and someone's just coming through the door. So I do apologize for that dead silence there, ladies and gentlemen. That's on me for not, being somewhere else other than my house. That's my fault. I do apologize for that silence. Uncomfortable amount of silence. However, what I mean to say is it didn't take him 5 minutes to burn something to the ground, like I'd previously mentioned. He planted the seeds so that it took him, as in his own words, 9 months. If there's 52 weeks in a year, and there's 3 weeks, possibly maybe 4 weeks, or 3.5 weeks in each month. Yes, there would have to be 4 weeks in each month, right? So, I can't really do math right now. 9 weeks, 18, because 9 times 2 is 18. 18 times 2 is what? 36 weeks? 36 weeks of professional wrestling, each and every week having something planted in the minds and insecurities, and you don't know who to trust. This is almost like the Triple H Stephanie McMahon that I mentioned earlier, the Triple H Hunter Hearst Helmsley McMahon regime meets the the NWO, because there's this powerful group and they're taking over, and the leader has almost like managed to get in bed with the boss's daughter. Like, you don't see stuff like that coming. He earns the trust, and the whole time that he's fighting, and I'm putting that in air quotes, the opposite of the opponent, he's working with them at the same time. What manipulation, the goal of some people to manipulate a narrative and a story to make it as though that it's seen through their eyes instead of yours. Or, it's weird. It's honestly so weird that this could be construed in any different way that you see fit to put it in that context, I could say that it was the job that I lost 2 or 3 weeks ago, that they spun a narrative that I've done something that I haven't, which, I hate to be this person, but if they're listening, this is not sour grapes. It's not at all. I'm not mad about it, and if I am, then, as I said previously, I've been looked in the eyes many different times as a child and told, no one cares what you think. Your opinion is irrelevant, and you are but a child. And, that was just upsetting, and then I was like, okay. And that stuck with me, like my entire life. No one cares what you think, and for that matter, like, emotions don't get me anywhere. If I'm mad at them, what am I going to do? Please answer that. What am I going to do? Because I'm not about to make any sort of empty threat or say, what am I going to do? Show up with a weapon, insert weapon here, like, that's not going to solve anything, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be like Hulk Hogan. What are you going to do, brother, when these 16-inch pythons go wild on you? That's not what I'm going at. But I mean to say is that I'm going to continue to live my life. And I'm going to continue to do this show. Thank you all so much for joining me. My name is Mocha. This is the Gut Wrench Podcast, episode 90. And, even though this is not the intro and this is not the outro, I'm almost certain this is not the outro because I'm not going to end it here. I've still got 45 minutes of professional wrestling to go through and some other note segments to take before this episode is complete. I simply felt as though that I should put that in there. That, this is episode 90. My name is Mocha. This is the Gut Wrench Podcast. Thank you all for joining me. Because this is the end of a segment and I don't know how to close it off because I am socially awkward, and for that matter I'm also ADHD and bipolar.
Any good army has great soldiers. And this club ain't no different. We got a couple of guys who felt like they were wronged. Doc and Nux, they became the muscle, the hard hitters. Devon, he came to you to help you, the same way Garrett did.
I owe you. I want to let you know that we've got your back no matter what. We're here for you. All you got to do is let us know.
I know who you are, my brother, and Garrett. I know what you're all about. Trust me, we got this one. This is ours. Thank you, though.
Garrett even came to you to help. When you were trying to get rid of his old man, Garrett stood by your side. What'd you do? You just brushed him off like a nobody.
I think everybody knows how I feel about Devon. I didn't want things to go down this way. Garrett, why do you feel you should sit in this room with these three other guys that have more experience than you?
Day one, I've been kicking my ass trying to prove myself around here. Devon saw something in me to take me under his wing, and he gave me an opportunity.
Well, that's why you're in here. Devon saw something. I need to see that same thing. The short amount of time you've been in this business, you've been on a roll. Right now, it's not your time, my brother. It's not your time.
You want to be a pro wrestler like your dad.
Even Wes Briscoe. Remember, Hulk, his father and his uncle helped train you.
Well, I've been training, working hard, and I was hoping maybe I'd get a chance.
And what'd you make the kid do? You made him beg.
I have no idea why Aces and Eights is coming after me.
Kurt, we got your back. We're there for you.
What about when Anderson got taken out? What'd you do?
I do recall what happened the last time that we met.
Just outside the impact zone, and Anderson down. And Anderson's
Somebody get to Anderson!
Did you check on him in any way? No. Anderson joining the Aces and Eights was a no-brainer, Hulk, because he's got it out for you.
Do you see what's going on? You picked Anderson over me? Shake my hand. I'm your guy, Hulk.
Nobody does really like it. Thank you. You fight for me and everybody in here.
You got it, brother.
I think if we make him part of this club, man, I think we got him.
I really enjoy your recruitment process.
Oh, I'm glad.
You're gonna form a gang. You want some leverage. You turn to one of your best friends, Taz.
How can I pass up on the opportunity to live by the vision of a higher power? You know, my contract says that I'm friggin' bulletproof. What are you gonna do when your world title is gone?
Look at that guy. Who is that masked man? Who is that guy? Newsflash, morons. It was me. D'Lo was another no-brainer. He's been on the inside the whole time. D'Lo is a part of the TNA office. He's got access to all of the secrets.
And now they don't care if it's women or men. You could be next.
I'm looking over my shoulder at home.
I have dealt with guys like this in the past, and they're all about just trying to make us scared.
And if we don't put this fire out, it could be something that we can't stop.
And let their asses in, and we
Have we tried that?
Let them in. Open the doors up.
We wanted to embarrass everybody in TNA. And Kurt, you were the first. You got the first dart.
Aces and Eights just beating the hell out of Kurt Angle. He was the victim.
Oh my God, look at this. Hogan wanted Wes to earn his way into Impact. So we just used you, Kurt.
Wes Briscoe for the gut check.
Wes was the first guy to win a gut check match. And who did he beat? Garrett Bischoff. We were going to make sure that Wes had every possible advantage.
This kid needs a contract. He deserves a contract.
D-Lo.
You know where Al is?
Come here. You know where Al is?
No, I don't know where Al is. I'm looking for Al. I got everybody looking for him.
I judge all the live event gut checks. I watched Wes's match. I can do this if you need me to. I can stand in.
My answer is yes. Once we had everything that we needed from you, Kurt, we laid our trap, got you locked in a cage.
Wes Briscoe helping him out. Garrett Bischoff, this is all a setup.
You told me that I had to start from the bottom. Well, with the aces and eights, that's the ticket to climb to the top of that ladder.
I would have never expected from Wes and Garrett. Never.
Once my world title match was signed, sealed, and delivered, it was my decision to make sure every member had been revealed.
Are you freaking kidding me?
Get his ass! Except one. And all that was left was the final part of the plan. You never saw it coming.
This number one.
So, like I stated before, there's a lot, and I mean a lot, of layers that go into this. This whole clubhouse gang membership, whatever, gang mentality, whatever you wanted to call it. But he started off basically by saying that everyone that was denied entry into Hogan's inner circle, Bully Ray practically took them all. Practically took every one of them and then said, "You are my brother." And he shook their hands and then he said, "You will help me take this company over." You know? And you know what they say, right? Keep your friends close and your enemies closer, right? Isn't that the old saying? That's exactly what they did, if you think about it. If you think about it, sit there, dwell on it for a minute, you know, pause this podcast, perhaps plan C, which is what I'm referring to this segment as, because it's what it's going to go down on as the notes, so that I can put these in order. Plan C is exactly that. Exactly what he just explained. Take everyone who's been discarded, everyone who's practically seen as useless, and then, you know, Knox, who else did he say? And eventually AJ Styles gets involved, but for his own reasons, you know, and then Styles promptly turns on them. But the crazy part is just the gang mentality of, oh, okay, you don't want us to be in your inner circle, and you're clearly the authority figure here. That's fine. I'll just go make my own clubhouse. You know? This reminds me of a segment from Futurama where Leela and Fry are on the dark side of the moon, and they find this, they know that they're not going to survive unless they can get into, like, the hidden, there's like a hidden bunker. It's not really a bunker so much as it is like a space satellite that was left there. It's sort of like a space camper, if you will. And what ends up happening is Fry and Leela get into it before the dark side of the moon comes over, which, if you don't know, scientifically speaking, if you were on the dark side of the moon, you would freeze to death. But what I mean to say is, that's exactly what Leela says too. Oh no, the dark side of the moon, we're going to freeze to death. Then they go into it, and the next thing you know, you hear Bender. The next thing you know, you hear Bender, and then he says, "Oh, that's okay. I'll just go get my own lunar landing with hookers and blackjack." And then he goes, "You know what? Forget the whole thing." And then he just walks away. He'll just go get his own lunar landing, you know, because I guess that's what Bully Ray practically said to Hulk Hogan. He'll just go get his own clubhouse, and I'll just discard. It's funny. It's sort of like karma, if you think about it. You discarded us. You trusted me, you know, but at the same time, I turned my back on you like you turned your back on all of my friends, on all of my clubhouse members, you know? There's so many layers. That's what I'm trying to get at. I'm sorry that this segment's just drawing on and on and on, but it's so hard to articulate into one sentence. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is another segment that I felt as though that I couldn't do justice, and I didn't realize that I just got done talking about in the Plan C segment that you just heard, how AJ Styles would later come back and join. I didn't realize, however, that that was right here tonight, on this same episode that I was just trying to mention happened. Maybe I thought that it maybe happened 2 or 3 weeks, or for that matter, their next pay-per-view, but no, it didn't happen. They just had shown the highlights of what had happened last week, aside from the Taryn Terrell incident, which, don't worry, we'll talk about that in just a second. Whenever I'm calling the wrestling, you'll hear me mention something between Taryn Terrell and Gail Kim. It might sound out of order, but you'll hear me mention it. But anyway, the AJ Styles incident. AJ Styles just got back, and if anyone knows me, they know that I'm a huge AJ Styles fan, or at this time, I was a senior in high school, and I was a huge AJ Styles fan. Today, I'd much rather watch Jon Moxley than AJ Styles, but, you know, to each is their own, because AJ's still just as entertaining as he was in 2013, but I feel as though that I've grown as a fan more toward the Jon Moxley, Cactus Jack type of matches, and I feel as though that Jon Moxley's matches are more higher ranked than that of an AJ Styles match, even though Styles puts on a hell of a performance. This is an interview that was done, and I thought maybe it was, like I said, hate to keep saying it, 2 or 3 weeks after the reveal, I'm putting that in air quotes, the reveal that Bully Ray was the leader of the Aces and Eights. But this right here is the interview in question, and seeing as though that we're going on 3 minutes in, and I still have yet to play the interview, and my speaker might shut off because it tends to do that if it doesn't have any, like if it's not being played, and there's, I guess it's hard to explain if it's just on charge and nothing's coming out of it. AJ will continue to be silent, even though Don West tries to get a or not Don West. I'm sorry, Mike. I'm drawing a blank on what his last name is, but Mike is trying to get AJ to talk, and AJ will not talk. So you might hear nothing from one person, but just be assured that AJ Styles is being interviewed at this time.
AJ, I've known you for over 10 years. Hell, I've called every one of your matches in Impact Wrestling, and I've always considered us friends. But that being said, I've got to ask you about your actions in recent weeks. AJ, what's the deal? What's going on? AJ, what about the rumors? All the rumors that we've heard about drug use and alcohol abuse.
Hold on, hey, Mike today. Mike today. Oh, Mike, it's pretty obvious you don't know how to conduct an interview when you're a novice at this, so step aside, let a professional do it. All right, so AJ Styles, I saw that video on you, cameras went back to your hometown there in Mississippi or Louisiana, wherever the hell you're from. You drive around on your little moped. You know what? Life's about opportunities. I was talking to Bully Ray, the president of Aces and Eights, and all the boys. And, we got a cut for you right here. It's a prospect cut. You got to pay your dues, start at the bottom, get the boys some beers, work your way up. And, I've been hearing you've been dabbling in alcohol and stuff and beers. So, jump on with the real boys. Got a band of brothers behind you. It's about opportunity, AJ. And we'll get rid of that stinky-ass moped you drive around. Get you a real bike. Sorry, that men drop.
About your damn luck.
I don't like being interrupted.
Took some nerve. You interrupted Mike in his interview. He's trying to get to the bottom of
I
this.
actually helped Mike. He was struggling with that interview. The hell is Storm Steel? I know Storm Steel out. I'm sure he wants some answers.
Absolutely.
AJ better stop staring at me. I am Teflon.
So is this the new AJ Styles? Somebody who can't even turn around and face the guy that he sucker punched last week. Got your cool little hood on. Look at you. You bad, ain't you, boy? That's all right. You can sit there and you can be the new AJ Styles with your new little leather jacket and your cool little hood. Because the old AJ Styles I knew was the type of guy that would tell you to your face what he thought about you. He didn't give a damn what you thought about it. You can sit there and you can be the new AJ Styles. But I am still the same old cowboy, James Storm. And you can sit there and you can think about sucker punching me again. But when you think about it, I'm going to knock your teeth right down your throat and look at you and say, sorry about your damn luck. What are you leaving for? Everybody wants to know why, AJ. Huh?
Well, we came tonight to get some answers. We got none. What is going on with AJ Styles? Up next, it's our huge main event. 4 top competitors battle it out for a shot at Bully Ray and the World Heavyweight title, and it's coming up next.
There was a dark void, a gap of...
So, what essentially took place there was an interview between Mike Tenay, I'm sorry, I forgot his last name, I don't know why, and AJ Styles, where James Storm interrupted and he wanted answers. He wanted to know why he sucker punched him last week, which to me it didn't really look like a sucker punch, it looked like a clothesline, but I mean, we're just pulling shots here at this point. I wanted to say pulling punches, and apparently there's been, some sort of, I don't know, rumors, and at that time I hadn't seen any rumors online or anything, but they're just stirring the pot. Professional wrestling will do that. Rumors of just, drug abuse and almost like he's on alcohol. He said he was... For some reason, Taz mentioned every place that AJ wasn't from, the backwoods of Louisiana or Mississippi or wherever the hell that you're from. You got it wrong twice, buddy. He's from Gainesville, Georgia, which apparently is a suburb in Georgia where they are quite the country, if you know what I mean. And I don't mean to, dog on Georgians or anything like that. 91% of my audience is from America, so I don't know what percentage of that is from Georgia, and I'm not trying to, call you Hicks or anything. MJF, as a matter of fact, said that he hates his fans because they all come up to him and then they're all like missing their teeth and stuff like that, and they're like, "Hey, Mr. MJF, I love you. I watch you on TV every week." And I'm just sitting there like, you can't be serious. So I'm assuming that it's sort of the demographic of AJ Styles or his type of people. But anyway, I'm getting off topic again. I do apologize. I talked about Futurama. I've talked about, and I thought that they would follow that up by another. So that's why you heard a little bit more, Impact Wrestling or whatever. Subsequently, I thought that they would follow that up by yet another explanation from Bully Ray, because I'm pretty sure that he's got one more explanation to make, or that there's going to be some sort of reveal throughout the night. Who is it that's going to win their fantastic Fatal 4-Way match. And I'll try to put the wrestling at the very end. So if you're listening to this, it's going to sound like it's out of order. You've already listened to Plan C, and I haven't really gotten to tell you, but the first 3 or 4 segments that you've listened to, I've put them in alphabetical order from how I named them in my computer, and then got them from my computer to my phone, and then after that, you're going to listen to me call the wrestling that happened on this particular night. So I practically gave you all the segments, and the reason that I did this episode is because I didn't want to lowball my audience. I gave some, I guess you could call it a piss poor episode just 2 days ago, or a day and a half ago, and I'm not going to do that again. But this Saturday, there will be another episode, but it will not be pertaining to professional wrestling, simply because it would be extremely hard for me to get an episode done now, and then afterwards watch an event that's 2.5 hours long, if not an hour and a half long, knowing my already hectic schedule, and then have an episode up Saturday for the following week, So I will do an episode here, and then I'll do an episode for Saturday, but the episode Saturday, like I just got done saying, will not be persistent of professional wrestling. I'll probably tell a story, or I'll have to juggle and see which one comes up, whether it's telling a story or whether it's being a DJ again, which I really enjoyed. So more than likely, that's what we're going to end up doing. But I would like to thank you all for joining me and the wrestling segment. If there's not another Bully Ray segment, should be about right now. Thank you all so much for joining me. My name has been Mocha. Good night, everybody. That's a wrap. Now, I am giving my outro, but the episode's not over. Thank you all so much for joining me on episode 90 of the Gut Wrench Podcast. Also, something else before we transition to the how can people be so petty. So, last week, before that episode that I did last week, before I got fired from my job yet again, for some reason now, my perfect score that I had on Apple podcast, I had a total of 11, I think, 5-star reviews. Now I have 12 reviews overall, and the 12th review that I received knocked me down from a 11 overall 5-star reviews, giving me a grand total of 5.0 rating on the Apple Podcast store. Apple Podcast, rather. Instead of that, now I have a 4.7. I have 12 reviews rather than the 11 that I aforementioned, that I just got done mentioning. Sorry, I hit my microphone. I don't know if you heard that. But I have 12 overall reviews, and one of them is a 1-star review. So, whether it was the fact that I posted my podcast on Reddit for the first time, and maybe it didn't go so well because someone got mad, butthurt, they got sad about it. They're sad panda, or whether or not it was someone from my previous place of work. How can someone be so petty? Thank you all so much for your support, though. For those of you who have stuck with me throughout the 90 episodes that I have published, it took them 89 episodes. I don't know, what do they expect me to do, just quit? Oh man, shit. How can I go on now that I'm a 4.7 instead of a 5.0? It's kind of like getting one small grade from maybe that teacher that you feel like doesn't like you. But once again, I'm talking politics and, stuff that's not very important. You guys don't come here for that. You guys don't come here for the, they're being petty, or whatever else. Thank you all so much for listening to that as well. Hopefully you enjoy the preceding wrestling episode, which I will try to cover in less than 20 minutes, because I don't know how long this episode's going to be.
Plus.
Jeff Hardy was rolling along stronger than ever as world champion. I think he even won TNA Wrestler of the Year. Enigma! Hogan, you didn't even trust me when I saved you. And I'm sure as hell you didn't trust me after you caught me with your dear, sweet little daughter. I get it. You did what you thought you needed to do.
You are suspended.
But all you did, Hulk, was drive your baby girl deeper into my arms.
Come back! Brooke Hogan safely back away from Aces and Eights.
I knew you would never want to disappoint Brooke, so I used Sting to lure you in.
When I look the guy in the eyes, there's something that's not right.
You need to do this for Brooke.
Your daughter put his wedding on national television.
I want you to marry me.
This was the perfect opportunity to get you where I wanted you. Everybody wants to know why I didn't just reveal myself right then and there. But every good plan has an end game. And I would never pass up the opportunity to have my boy Taz make an impact. I know what you're all thinking. Bully, you got your ass kicked and Devon hit you with a cement pillar. No, you think Devon hit me with a cement pillar. Don't always believe what you see. Yeah, I took a couple of good shots for the team. Ain't you never seen Goodfellas before? The way I see it, everybody's got to take a beating every once in a while. And Hulk, I knew if I got my ass kicked right in front of your face, you would have no choice but to start trusting me.
I bled! Earn your fucking respect!
And then it was Devon's turn to take a beating. Devon knew his role in this whole plan also. And then an injury sidelined the big bad bully. But to make sure I got what I wanted, I manipulated the situation even more. Brooke had an entire week to convince her father to choose me.
He wants to be just like you. He wants it so badly.
And you did it.
Your #1 contender to go against Jeff Hardy, Lockdown, Bully Ray.
And I played to Hogan's biggest weakness, his ego. I wanted him in that match so bad.
We need one more guy. I think that guy should be you.
Sorry, Sting. You got beat down. I had to take care of my family. Wouldn't you do the same? So there you have it. It's really quite simple. For 9 months, you all got swindled. For 9 months, I pulled off the biggest con in professional wrestling history. Do you know who I am? I'm the leader and the president of the Aces and Eights. Nobody can stop us. And nobody will take my World Heavyweight Championship.
Our main event.
So like he said, for 9 months, you got swindled. For 9 months, he planted the seeds in... What a sly dog. And you gotta think about everything that could have went wrong in this case. And they took the long way out, because Plan A, the segment that I entitled Plan A, which should be at the beginning of this show, I don't know if I said my intro or not, but it's not important really. For consistency reasons, I guess it is important, but for this particular episode, it's not really important. But if I remember how I put my notes in order for this particular podcast segments, but for Plan A, the first segment that you just got done listening to begin the podcast is what I'm trying to drive home. He said that for 9 months he was going to, almost like a magician, unveil the biggest piece of him just swindling the wrestling world. And like I said, you've got to think about all of the things that could have went wrong. Like, what if James Storm would have quit TNA? You know, what if Robert Roode wasn't happy with how much that he was being paid, being framed as the guy who was, you know, the insecure friend of James Storm, having to point the finger at Storm, and then afterwards Storm ended up taking the blame, like on plan A. Plan B, marrying Hogan's daughter. You know, how do you get away with that? How do you get to manipulate every situation to where 36 weeks, if 9 months doesn't sound, too palpable, 36 weeks, this man went on television and he practically hijacked professional wrestling to make it to where him and the rest of Impact Wrestling looked like they were the number one show for nothing more than ratings on television, because you have to think about the people who were tuning in each and every week to maybe just catch a glimpse of half, let alone all of what was happening, like drama unfolding on a soap opera, Like, oh man, I wonder what they're going to do next. Who's going to be revealed as the next person who's involved in the aces and eights, And it had to take some articulate writing, some articulate setup, and some articulate planning in order to have someone actually sit down with a pen, a piece of paper, and then say, okay, Bully Ray, are you ready to play every role in this story in manipulating everyone to make you look like the hero when in fact you were the devil the entire time? You've got to be joking right now. I feel betrayed. I feel like I could take a piece of glass and then just munch on it right now, even though I probably shouldn't do that. And I would advise you don't do that either. But the point is, unless it's like glass candy from like Japan, Japan, the Japanese have like this glass candy. I don't know what I'm going on about. But anyway, what I mean to say is that this was a testament to how professional wrestling should be booked, but how they don't take the time anymore to actually sit down and write out a 9-week story, let alone a 36-week times 9 by 4, 36-week story. 9 months, let alone 9 weeks. Because usually what they'll do is they'll test the waters with something, but not always. You see, there's some exceptions to the rule. Take someone like Matt Cardona, for example. Matt Cardona, who had nothing but air and opportunity to show up as Zack Ryder, but Zack Ryder, even though he was over in the WWE, he got himself over. He got himself to get the chance and the cheers and the praise that he got. But WWE didn't exactly put him on the stage to say, hey, Zack, how would you like a world championship shot? Take Dolph Ziggler, for example. Dolph Ziggler, who, for one reason or another, got some sort of... let's be honest, he was always the loser. He would always lose to The Miz. He would always, even though he'd put on a hell of a performance, you would figure, you can't lose them all, right? Wrong. Not only was he the loser, in most cases, he was also the guy who he could sell like really, really well, but it would have been good to see Dolph Ziggler have some sort of championship, for longer than 12 or 15 or 18 or 25 weeks. It would have been good to see Dolph Ziggler have a championship, maybe even a storyline where he was booked halfway decent. Take R-Truth, for example. Someone who's immensely popular within the WWE, and every time that this man shows up, everyone is smiling. Everyone is always in a good mood whenever R-Truth is around, regardless of whether he is the subsequent heel or the babyface, the good guy or the bad guy. R-Truth puts tickets, puts butts in seats is what I'm trying to drive home. And if you was to take these three men, Matt Cardona, Dolph Ziggler, and R-Truth, and let's say that somehow you went ahead and put them in a match, I bet you, I guarantee that every seat would have blood, sweat, and tears in it, because people would pay to see that, especially passionate wrestling fans like me. Sign me up. Here's my money. You know the Futurama reference, shut up and take my money? That's me right now. You put Matt Cardona on a card, you're going to sell tickets. You put R-Truth on a card, you're going to sell tickets. And you put Dolph Ziggler at Heel Ziggler on a card, and you're going to sell tickets. WWE on multiple occasions has dropped the ball on some main event superstars, and that's just 3 examples that I could think of off the top of my head. I'm not looking at my notes right now. I don't have any notes to really reference right now, but you want to know what hurts me the most? What really irks me to my core is the fact that someone like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, I'm bringing it back around, ladies and gentlemen, this entire episode wasn't about Sami Zayn or Kevin Owens, and it wasn't about politics. But the thing that really gets me the most is that Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens have made their name somewhere else. Ring of Honor, for example. And even though Dolph Ziggler got himself over without really the homage of WWE, Kevin Owens smiled like a doofus for photo shoots and said the following phrase, "Package power driver, everybody." And somehow he's considered to be more popular than someone of the effect of Dolph Ziggler, Matt Cardona, aka Zack Ryder, or R-Truth. Sami Zayn stole R-Truth's gimmick and did it inherently worse than R-Truth did, because he thought that there was a conspiracy theory against him, but none of us were laughing. At least I hope that there was no one laughing at that clown. And obviously he was a clown before he was, some jackass who would come out and proclaim that there was a conspiracy theory against him, even though there wasn't, and he had no evidence to support any sort of conspiracy theory. See, he's doing it worse, is what I'm saying. And he would come out, and even the great Jim Cornette agrees with me on this. He would come out with like some bandana that he cut holes in for eyes, I think, before he actually got a luchador mask. And for some reason he would call himself El Generico. Like, I don't understand what you're trying to do. Are you trying to say that you're, in Spanish, generic? Okay, well, if you're generic, you can leave, because the way I see it, professional wrestlers have inherent character flaws that make them, take JBL for example, John Bradshaw Layfield. These inherent character flaws is what makes them shine. John Bradshaw Layfield was so self-obsessed, so he was in a way obsessed with himself so much that he was so full of shit that his eyes were brown, practically. And it was all about him. It was all about him. He could care less because he's better than everybody else. And speaking of being better than everybody else, MJF, for instance. MJF, inherent character flaw is that he's so egotistical he can't see straight. He's so self-absorbed, if you will, and he does it so well. CM Punk, for instance, whenever he was a Straight Edge Society, he was so good at pissing people off. I loved him for it. The Miz, for instance, he can be your best friend 1 minute, and then all of a sudden, that last shoe drops, and then all of a sudden, what happens? He's your worst enemy. You were just cheering him 5 minutes ago whenever he said, "How we doing tonight, Cleveland?" And then, 10 minutes later, when my hand goes up, your mouth goes shut. You're booing him, Like, what's going on here? My point, of course, is that, like in the last segment I said, those that you discard, those that you have thrown away, cast aside, and that came back to bite you in the ass, and now you want it more than what you wanted it before. Be thankful for what you have. For what you have not, I don't know. It was going somewhere. You guys get where this was going, right? And I felt as though that I made my point, but I just felt as though that I needed to hammer it, drive it home just a little bit more. Anyway, that was the last Bully Ray segment, and now it's time for the Fatal 4-Way, which you will hear me discuss in the next segment, or not the next segment, but at the end of the next segment, rather.